Alrighty. So this is the weekly energy update for this week. Um, there's there's not too many energies um this week. It's actually pretty clear of how things are like shifting, and it's very, I don't know, it's very simple. And I don't know if it's because, like, again, and I know I mention this like every week, but there has been a lot of shedding, right? I know I mention this like every week, but it is what it is. And that's just what's been happening to so many people. So, um yeah, it's a pretty, I want to say, quiet, but also like fast momentum. And I know that's like opposite. I know that those two energies are opposite, which is really interesting because, again, it's interesting. It is a mix of both. Okay, interesting. I wasn't tapping into this, but now I am. I think I feel like there's like a percentage of you that are learning how to work with both energies of like the quiet stillness, retreat, kind of solitude energy versus like fast momentum, fiery energy. Very, very interesting. I actually didn't even write this down, but it's just coming to me now. I think a lot of us are learning that because I get, you could be a person that likes to be in one of those energies more than the other, which makes sense. For example, I know for myself, I'm very fiery. I have like, I can tap into the momentum very easily. That's like not an issue for me. And I know over the course of the last couple months, I've really been learning to pull myself back and be in rest. And when I first started to do that, it was hard. It was really hard. Um, it took a lot of work to be okay to be in a restful state, which the restful state, guys, is a receptive state, right? It's that receivership. And let's just say you're more naturally in the restful state, you could have been pushed more towards that action, that momentum, that drive, just to balance that out. And I just feel like, of course, when you have one energy more so and you work with it more so, to balance out the scales, you'll be forced into the opposite energy and you'll spend quite a bit of time there to balance out the energy that's more natural for you, right? So it does feel like for a lot of you, you're coming back into balance. And I get that sometimes when we do come into that balance, sometimes it's still natural to dip into the energy that you're more used to. And it feels like everybody's just learning how to operate from both, to like commingle and dance with both energies of like the fire, rapid momentum versus the beautiful, like flow, restful state. And not, I'm not saying that the other energy is not beautiful. It is. It just, it's the masculine feminine, which I did write that down, that it's like a lot of you are still balancing that within you. It is interesting. It's like there's a large collective that is going through like learning how to be in both energies. Like not all the time, but what I just see, it's like sometimes you move to this energy and sometimes you move to that energy, and it's a constant like back and forth. And it's using your intuition of knowing which energies to be tapping into. Um, so that's what it feels like for this week. It feels like, yeah, you're just learning how to do that. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that sorry guys, this is like all coming through now. Um, I almost want to make a video about that, about the polarities and the feminine and masculine. Um, yeah, I feel like a lot of you are just learning how to live from that state more. And it's a very balanced state. You know what I mean? Because obviously if you tap in to one side more versus the other, you're always going to well, feel imbalanced. Um and it's almost like not really a natural state of being. What's natural is being in that balance, always constantly diving into both. So, yeah. Anyway, really, really interesting. Okay. Again, I didn't write that part down. That just came through right now. I might tap back into that, but so for this week, like I said, you're learning how to use both energies. And you could find yourself being like in rest and then in action and then in rest and then in action, listening to your inner guidance of when to be using both. But I wrote down for this week, it's funny, it's clearly basically what I just mentioned, but either you have been in a retreat, restful mode, like either it started last week for you, or you're entering this retreat mode this week. And it's either going to be by free will or you're going to be forced by the divine in some way, shape, or form to pull you back into rest, retreat, slow down kind of energy. And it's just because, again, you've been tapping into the opposite energy where it's like fast, fiery, momentum, go, 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 drive, da 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 da. Again, how I started this reading out, it's learning to be in both, right? Learning to use both and not too much on one or the other. And so if you've been too much in that, you're going to be forced to come back into rest, to retreat, to rebalance yourself. So again, it's either free will or like the divine is going to be like, no, 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 we're not doing this anymore. Learn to slow down, learn to rest, learn to be, learn to receive. And this rest does feel purposeful. Like, look, guys, I get, trust me, I get um how sometimes rest can feel like it's useless. We've been programmed, guys. We've been conditioned to think that rest means that you're lazy, you're not doing enough. You should feel guilty for resting. We've been like this is deep, deep programming. So trust me, I get when you're in that restful stage and then those things come up in you of like, I'm not doing enough. I need to be doing. I'm lazy, I'm this, blah, 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 blah. You get to be self critical, but just understand you've been conditioned, you've been programmed to think and operate that way whenever you're in rest, right? This society does not like restful people because restful people are creative people and they're tapped in to a higher power. They're tapped into the divine, right? Especially when you spend quite a bit of time in that mode and you start receiving, society does not like that. Busy people are distracted people, and they're easy to sell to. Okay? We're all like, I really does feel like a collective is learning the balance of both, right? To be in rest so that they can receive, right? Again, restful people are creative people, which creativity was a huge thing the last couple of months. It was really starting to kick in a lot of you. And again, creativity just means whatever you're feeling called to create, right? It doesn't have to be painting, it doesn't have to be sculpting. It literally could be creating a business, whatever, right? Like whatever you feel called to create, right? And a lot of you have been starting to tap back into that. And a lot of you are continuously like moving into that because that is what your calling is, and whatever your soul is tapping you on the shoulder to create, like a lot of you are starting to move into that, which I did write down, and I'll just get into it afterwards because again, just have a momentum right now. But a lot of you are being redirected to that creative pursuit, to that soul mission, because that is your purpose. That is what you're meant to be doing, right? So, it's really, really interesting, honestly. Super interesting how we're all learning this. We're all learning how to be balanced in our own polarities of rest and then action, right? So like I said, if you've just been in a fiery momentum kind of period, either by free will, you're gonna be like you're gonna choose to slow down or you're gonna be forced in some way, shape, or form. I know I was forced. I was forced. And I don't wanna get into it, but yeah, basically I was forced and really was like, "Ugh, great. I have to go back into this restful period," and I was forced to, right? But, what I was also getting with this rest period is that there's, like, 2 things happening. One, it does feel like perhaps you were moving too quickly, and I did mention this, I don't remember when. I think it was, pre-recorded that I did maybe a few days ago, I don't know. It feels like perhaps some of you have been moving very quickly, like for those of you who are like master alchemists who like you get like a soul lesson, or you're dealing with a certain challenge, and you understand like, oh man, okay, this is connected with this and this and this, I'm learning X, Y, and Z, and like you move through these things really quickly, right? It's like the death and rebirth, transmutation, transformation. Once you've kind of been on that wheel of doing that, it's like it's soul school. It's like the divine hands you another lesson or challenge, and you're just like, yep, let's do this. And you like, you study it, if we want to compare it to like something at school, right? It's like the teacher hands you the the lesson, you study it, and then you're like, all right, tomorrow I'm ready to do the exam, I'm ready to do the test, while the other students in your class need like a whole week or 2 weeks or a month to study for it, and your teacher's like, what, you're ready? I just handed you this lesson yesterday, and then let's just say it's complex or whatever, or even if it isn't, but whatever. And they're like, but I just handed you this lesson. You're like, yeah, I'm ready. And then they're like, okay, I guess you can write it. And then you write it and you ace it. And then you're still waiting for the other students, for them to like write it a month from now. And you go to your teacher, like, I'm ready for the next one. And your teacher's like, um, uh, okay, and they hand it to you, and let's just say you've done this like a few times, and like now the students, your other classmates, are like really far behind because they're not moving through these things as quickly as you, and you were just like bam 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 bam. And your teacher, which is like the divine, is like, hold on, hold on, just wait, because you're moving very, very, very quickly and interesting. I'm just getting this now. It's like everyone's always shifting timelines, right? Based on your free will, based on so many different things. And of course, we have all these different timelines that's available for us individually, but there's also like a collective timeline. And yes, also there's multiple of those. But I don't know, it feels like if you move too quickly, it's almost like not that the timelines are out of reach, but it's almost like, wait, you're moving way too freaking quickly. And okay, it's like I'm doing my best to explain this because this is just all coming to me now. It's like when you move too quickly, it's like you move to another set of timelines that are available for you, right? But let's just say they have to merge with other people, obviously, right? How else do opportunities and things come to us? It has to come also through other people. It's not going to come out of thin air, you know? It can feel that way, right? When it comes in a very surprising way, but it's like it has to be led by somebody else. Do you know what I mean? Like somebody calls you, somebody emails you, somebody texts you, and they're like, hey, I know blah, 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 blah. And then, they offer you this opportunity or whatever. But it's like if you move way too quickly and now you're ready for that timeline, but that person, they still haven't moved that quickly and they have to catch up to you and those potential timelines to match. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's just kind of what's coming through to me. There has to be a merging of those timelines, right? And for those of you that were forced into slowing down, it does feel like you're shifting timelines very quickly, very, very quickly. You're moving through challenges, moving through lessons very, very, very quickly. Like you're a master student. And the teacher was like, listen, take a vacation, rest, be, let your classmates catch up to you. And you're like, I can move through this. Like, what? It's like an over ambitious kind of soul, You're like, but I can just move through this. What do you mean? Let me just do this. Let me just go, go, go. And yeah, the divine or the teacher or whatever in this case is like, we know, we know, but rest, be, receive, do nothing. Like, do you know what I mean? And let those people catch up to you. So again, it's like, yeah, it's like you've been shifting timelines very quickly and you got to wait for the other timelines to catch up to you. So if you're forced into a rest period, just know that that could be the case. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. For those of you that it's hard to enjoy that, I know. Try to. Try to just be, try to, like do the things that you feel called to do, that your heart is telling you to do. But just be more in that restful state until you feel that inner inspiration to do something. Okay. Because I did write down that with this restful period, you're entering more of a flow state. And again, that just means following the internal guidance system of like being creative, talking to certain people, or like whatever it is, right? You're entering that flow state, maybe you're meditating more, whatever. And through that, new ideas, new inspirations will be coming in to you where you're going to know the next thing to do or to work on or whatever. And when you do get that inspiration of like, oh my God, I just received a brilliant idea. oh my god, and you get so excited about it. You're like, I feel this idea within your body, within your cells. Work on it, right? Because that is where that faster momentum is going to pull you through instead of constantly working, doing. Like that can actually slow you down, right? And what I'm the visual that I'm getting, it's kind of like the bow and arrow. You know how like you have to pull the bow back, right? So that's that rest period. That's that stagnancy, if you want to even call it. And then, you let it go and the arrow just like flies on forward. Okay. So, yeah, this restful state, guys, will increase your momentum forward, actually. Okay. Even though if it doesn't feel like it. So just trust that. Yeah, this retreat mode will help people enter flow state, which I just said. Will be easier to tap into the divine and receive downloads. Yeah, exactly what I just mentioned. Um, I also wrote down rebalancing the masculine and feminine energies, the polarities within. Yeah, again, I mentioned this in the beginning, how like people are just being forced to balance these polarities and these dualities within them and working with both energies. It's like I said, we're actually all learning this. We're all learning to be master alchemists within ourselves, within the magic within us, within the energy within us. We're learning to be alchemists within ourselves, you know? Because this actually is what creates magic. Is actually what creates whatever it is that you want to create, is when you work with both energies and not dismiss one or the other. Okay? Um, yeah, I wrote down after rest period, swift movement forward, which I just mentioned. Um, okay, so that kind of feels like that's about, you know, that energy this week, about both of those energies, right? Working with both of them. Now moving on, because what was also coming out is that you'll be receiving clarity about someone or something. And again, this has been a theme. This has been a theme as well. I feel like for the last couple weeks about clarity. Again, when you're shedding stuff and you're letting go of things that are no longer serving you, obviously that's going to bring you clarity. But what I was writing down is that perhaps there was something or someone in your orbit that wasn't as truthful, that had like deceptive energy, that maybe didn't have the best intentions towards you. It was more of a selfish thing. So again, they were just thinking about themselves. They weren't really considering you. They weren't considering how you'd be feeling. It was more just about them. And what I was writing down is that truths will be revealed. Like, oh, I should post this on here. How did it go? Let me see if I can actually. It was so good. Yeah. All lies have to return to truth after their little performance. All lies. All lies. And it's interesting because, like, my whole life has always showed me that with other people. Like, whenever someone was being deceptive with me, and before when I was younger, I was very naive and I I trusted everybody like very, very quickly. And I learned that the hard way. Um, Now I'm a lot more careful. I use my intuition also a lot. Um, but I've also come to see that anybody who lies, truth always comes out. And it's really interesting in my experience. I never actually had to look for it. It would always just come out. And I'm like, oh, cool. All right. They lied. So, and again, we're entering a time where it's like masks are dropping. I've mentioned this. You can't hide anymore. You can't lie. You can't. Like you can, but trust me, it's going to be revealed very quickly. Very quickly. So why lie? Be honest. If you have certain intentions towards someone, tell them. Tell them, right? Because truth will always, 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 always be revealed. Always. So yeah, you're just gonna be getting clarity about someone or something um that perhaps didn't have your best intentions. Um this new energy is really forcing people to come in. Yeah. So it's essentially like this energy that you're tapping into, it's forcing people to come in clean or they're going to leave your orbit. It's basically a no effing around energy. Like F around and find out type of thing. Because we're not, especially when you yourself have come into your own clarity and your own like truth within yourself. You can't have anybody come into your field who's going to mess around, and if they do, it's a very quick thing. Like truly, it's like the divine protects you and is like, okay, well, we're removing this person, we're making this person leave your field because it's not a match, it's not an aligned match, and they just get removed. It's very interesting. Like I've seen this within my own life recently. I don't even have to do anything, people just get removed, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like it's actually awesome. I don't actually have to try and decipher who this person might be, they just get removed. And I'm just like, okay, well, they're not meant to be. So peace, you know? Um, but what I was writing down is like if you feel like, let's say you were dealing with a person or a situation, whatever it is. Again, everyone's going to be dealing with different things. If you feel like, let's just say you've come to realize that someone has been mistreating you or has been being deceptive, or maybe not having your best intentions, or perhaps they were saying certain things and their actions weren't aligning with what they were saying, and you feel like you need to speak a truth around that, like you saw it for what it was. I did write down, stand up for yourself, call it out. Like if you actually feel, and this is something that you've been sitting with, right? It's not an impulsive thing. It's not, I feel this, so I'm gonna, write this long message and blah blah blah. No, no, that's impulsiveness. Sit in your center, be in your center, feel into it. And if it's coming from a calm state of wanting to stand up for yourself and of calling something out, that's when you do it. You don't do it from impulsiveness, because that's not a good energy. You do it from being grounded, from being centered, from being calm and being like, listen, X, Y, and Z. You call whatever out that needs to be called out. Um, Let me see. And you tell that person, yeah, where they messed up. But again, it's coming from a calm and clear and clean energy, guys. Okay. If your emotions are at like a 10 or 20, you got to come back down. You got to come back down, center yourself, calm yourself, and just make sure it's coming from a calm place. Um, okay, so let me see how I want to move into this. Okay, that's fine. I'm just going to go point by point. So with this rest this is yeah, this is connected to the restful period, and I just wrote down again, like, new ideas about businesses, projects, whatever you wanna create. Um, but it's gonna like, how by the way, how you know, guys, that this is something that is meant for you and that you're meant to perhaps move into that action energy, that, like, fire creative energy. It's because when you receive this idea, you receive this impulse, and this is actually something I've experienced the last couple of days where I'm just the few ideas came to me and I was like, "Whoa, like this feels really good." I felt that passion, I felt that excitement. That's how you know it's like that's a green light to go forward and like move into it, right? Um so yeah, I wrote down act on it because it does feel like this is something that's connected with financial opportunities and stability, and it's like the next step that you need to take. So you receive the download, you receive the idea. How does it feel in your body? Is it like, um, do you feel that passion? Do you feel that excitement? I know also for me, I felt like such a childlike joy, and like I went into that timeline, like, right away of seeing it already being created. I'm like, "Ooh, I like this." Like, this is a version of me that I like and that I can see myself becoming and that I know I'm becoming, actually. It was very, very interesting. It was almost like I was seeing a very high potential, preview for, like, the next thing. So yeah, if you get that, act on it. It doesn't mean create it within a day. Just take baby steps, okay? Take baby steps towards this. Okay, and I also wrote down like don't self-sabotage or go into overwhelm about your ideas. Yeah. Because that could be a tendency too. If like, you get an idea and you're just like, oh, I don't know, I'm not good enough, I'm not this, blah, blah, blah. Be aware. Be aware of that and don't go into those emotions. I get for those of you, if this is a new idea, if this is a new project or whatever, we can have those thoughts of like, I don't know how, but this, and blah, 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 blah. Do what you can, okay, towards that. We always know the first step to take. Just because you get the idea and you can maybe see the end result of it, doesn't mean you have to move into that end result by, let's just say, the end of this week or by the end of this month. No, take the first step, and that first step is going to open those new doors, those new possibilities, connect you with other people that perhaps may help you bring this into fruition, okay? You don't have to do it perfect, okay? It's never like, don't expect perfection when you're creating something. It's never going to be perfect. You get better and better at it the more you do it, okay? Um, okay. The last thing I wrote, just because it was coming up, is about romance and relationships. So, for those of you like in new partnerships, like you could have met somebody, for example, this past month or two, because again, I was tapping into love a lot. And I know a lot of you are calling that in. If you've come in, let's just say you've met this person, maybe you've been talking to them, and obviously it's not like when you're in the talking stages, it doesn't mean like there's a full-blown relationship, right? Um, so it almost feels like maybe you didn't know where you were standing with them. Like you're like, is this maybe you've went out on a few dates and you're like, is this a relationship? Is this not? Where is this headed? Are they talking to other people? Blah blah blah, blah, whatever it is, right? Um, because of the truth coming out this week, it does also feel like you're just going to be finally hearing the truth about it. Either because you get fed up and you're like, just tell me, just like, what is this? Where is this going? Blah, 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 right? This is how I feel. This is whatever, right? Or that person will be telling you the truth. So it will either deepen things. Either it'll be like, "Oh, okay, like, we're both in alignment. Maybe we're both scared, whatever, whatever, but we both see this vision. We both want commitment, yada, yada, yada." So either it will deepen things or it will dissolve because both of you aren't in alignment. Um, but I did write down again, guys, if things dissolve between somebody who you thought was your person, that wasn't your person. That was not your person. This dissolvement is only going to lead to you meeting and being with someone who is more balanced, grounded, and it's like a reciprocal kind of energy and relationship. Remember, don't chase somebody who is not giving to you. I mean, they're telling you where you're at with them, you know? Leave it behind and move on forward to something else, okay? But yeah, that's about it. The numbers coming out were 11, so all about initiations, alignment, justice, and spiritual downloads. 1, new beginnings. 2, union, choices, and balance. 9, completion. 5 is all about change and breakthroughs. And the only animal coming out was a bear, which actually carries both of those energies that I was talking about. Because obviously, bears can go into hibernation and rest, right? But then it can have that assertive, protective, and fierce energy. But it's also just very wise when it uses that energy. Do you know what I mean? It's not always doing that, you know? So again, it's like balancing both of those polarities. Um, and yeah, standing up for yourself whenever you need to. Um, and I also wrote down you're moving into a timeline where you are no longer abandoning yourself. So, yeah, that's what you guys can expect this week. I'm going to leave it at there. It just feels like a balancing type of week, which is good. It's just going to bring clarity and faster movement forward. Alrighty, guys. Thank you for listening and receiving. And I'm wishing you guys a great day, great week ahead. And I'll see you next week on a live.